In case you missed it, yep, Sabrina's teleworking from home because she has allergies. She's got the allergies. Let's go into the Zoom room here, and we're gonna play that. You guys can catch it on the KUAM News Instagram. Sabrina's second time, actually second and third time, getting tested for COVID-19 because she thought she was gonna. She's like, "Oh, they got the new Binex test. Yeah, you just do it yourself." And then she went through, and they're like, "No, no, 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 no. Okay, you're gonna have to do." So you did what, Bree? Like four total nostril swabs yesterday?
Yes, I did. 4. 2 for the Binax and then 2 for the PCR.
Right. Yep. Sarge, have you been tested for COVID during the pandemic? I don't want to get personal. If you don't want to talk about it, it's cool.
No, not yet. I was actually in home quarantine when the pandemic first broke out. Our family was identified as a close contact to patient 3, so that was the unknowns and the uncertainty. So we pretty much just quarantined for 14 days, and it was like you count every minute, every second, and it's every sneeze in the house, every cough, it's like, oh no, it's like the uncertainty. And at that time, it was really, so here we are now. It's like we have all the testing agents that can help identify and really address the medical care, but really take care of each other, take care of yourself, and most especially take care of the people that you care about.
Right. I guess we could just get started, Sarge. I wanted to ask about the human skull that was found over by Adelup. I was actually over there yesterday walking the dog, and I was thinking, I know that GPD is investigating, but if you could, and I don't really expect there to be any developments, I mean, just a couple days after it was found, but what does this investigation entail, and how forward can GPD move with it if we don't have a medical examiner on hand on island?
So when we have incidents with found remains throughout the island, the Guam Police Department works closely with the CME and of course other agents, other government agencies such as the Department of Parks and Recs and the University of Guam. We found remains that we were able to the assistance from other agencies, we were able to determine that the remains were found were not of human. Some of the remains that were found were actually linked to the war. Some remains that were found were actually ancient sites. So understanding how to where we move forward, it's really getting a timestamp as to how old the remains are. So the CME has the ability to reach out. So these are ways in which we can actually identify how old the remains are, and it really gives us a better picture as to how we move forward with the case. So that's pretty much, when we find remains that may not appear to be fresh, or it may look dated just by your mere observation. And there's things to consider too. Some remains that are found are really the proximity. It's close to a cemetery, like
right.
We discussed with Sabrina a few days ago. It's some of the washed up remains that were found in Pneumatic Bay were actually that of the cemetery that were caused by erosion. So
right.
These are things that we take into consideration, and of course, reaching out to the CME with the availability of Department of Parks and Recs, the historical preservation personnel that they have there. They can really help us in identifying the time frame or the timestamp of the remains that are found.
So
Have they
made any? What?
I'm sorry.
What was their initial assessment of the remains?
Just our detectives, just looking at it, it really, we're it's to see it and to see the condition of the skeletal remains. Things happen. World War II. We just don't know yet until we get a full timestamp from either the university, the chief medical examiner's office, or that of the Parks and Recs. But it really the remains, from what I saw through pictures, it looked dated. So that's where these experts come in.
Any update on the search for Michael Castro?
It's still classes and missing person. We still actively work that. So, we continue to ask, the community for any information that can assist us. And, our investigators are, that those cases, again, the help of the community, it's really vital. So providing that information, either directly to our detectives or to the Guam Crime Stoppers, we're still moving forward with this missing persons case.
What about the officer-involved shooting in Tamuning? Anything new, or are any of those police officers back on the job?
No, they're still on administrative leave, and being employees, they do have rights. So we want to respect that too, but they are still in administrative leave. As mentioned, we, the Guam Police Department, Chief Stephen Ignacio had stated that we are going to maintain the integrity of this case. This is why we've reached out to the Office of the Attorney General to overlook or to be the lead for the criminal aspect of this investigation, and of course, the Guam Customs and Quarantine internal investigators will be handling the administrative investigation. But that's pretty much where we are now. Our officers that were involved, they're still in administrative leave.
Mm-hmm. I do want to ask about the Mark Torrey Jr. verdict. He was found not guilty. Is he able to return to GPD, or is that something that you guys have heard that he plans?
I don't know. I really don't know as to his employment rights or anything. So again, that's really more of an HR issue. So, should he decide? But again, we respect the decisions of the courts. Moving forward, we just want to continue to hold steady and of course move forward and understanding and respecting the decisions of the courts. But as for reemployment, I can't be, I won't be able to answer that because I don't know that pretty much whether it's an HR issue or not.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us any update on the police officer trainees that tested positive?
So far, there's, from what we've reported, 10 still is the number, that the officers that tested positive. Again, it started with a trainee that developed signs and symptoms and was symptomatic due to a household member that tested positive. That trainee did, indeed test positive, was confirmed positive for COVID. Chief Ignacio had ordered the mass testing of all trainees to include the cadres. So out of the remaining 14, out of the remaining cycle, 10 altogether, to include that first trainee, had tested positive. Those trainees that tested positive are currently in home isolation. The remaining 14 are in home quarantine. Now, I just want to assure the community and the family members of the trainee that since the onset of the academy, it was, GPD has taken the precautionary measures to ensure the safety and understanding where we are with COVID. The Hakapatan Training Center was adequate space that was able to accommodate the number of the size of the training cycle, the 11th cycle, where we were able to afford 6 feet distancing and some to the trainees. And that room is equipped with an air purifier. And, the mandatory mask is worn throughout, whole GPD compound, and it's mandated to our trainees and of course our cadres. We do have hand sanitizing agents available to our services bureau side of the shop that caters to the community, such as our Army Division and our recreational boating safety. They're open for service and they provide hand sanitizing agents for the availability of the community to include the training center. Our trainees have access to that. And every day, there's a routine sanitation of the facility. So taking these precautionary measures in play since the onset of the cycle, these were things that were put in to assure the safety of each and every trainee. So, we are gonna switch the training module to remote learning or distance learning once all trainees are 100% and back in service. So working closely with the Guam Community College, the adjunct instructors, so far have been the Guam Police Department's personnel that work closely with the Guam Community College. So they're pretty much in close ties with the Guam Police Department. But once all trainees have recovered 100%, we are going to be switching the training modules to remote or distance learning. So this gives them time to really, that's always been our paramount vision, is really making sure that each employee, each personnel is safe to come back to work and is effective. So, aside from that, the one officer that was reported from the Dededo precinct, he's still in home isolation, and we work closely with Department of Public Health and Social Service with the contact tracing and any needs that is requested from the Guam Police Department for any additional testing.
So any other officers at the Dededo precinct tested?
Just the immediate contact that was identified by the Department of Public Health and Social Service. So, since when we reported our patient one or our first case, a lot of things were in play, just moving with the fluidity of COVID, operation-wise with the respective precincts and ensuring that the precincts maintain the service to the community, from Chief Stephen Ignacio to, the acting police commander, Major Manny Chong, and of course, the respective district commanders, and ensuring that the void is filled. So, understanding that personnel needed to be quarantined, we assured that, it wouldn't hamper or, affect the services to the community. So, understanding what happened since the beginning of our first personnel that tested positive to where we are, we continue to work closely with their needs and of course the needs of the community. But from what we're tracking is the officers that were in immediate contact had tested and tested negative.
Okay. Bree, anything else? Any checkpoints, Sarge?
No, our traffic investigators, it's we put the media release out yesterday, and this is really involving the auto pedestrian fatality that occurred Friday on November 13th. We're in need of assistance from the community in helping identify the male victim. We're asking the community if anybody has any knowledge or any information that can help ID the victim. All we have is his demographic is pretty much he's 5'5" to 5'8" in height, is a medium slim build. He has a light complexion, short hair, and he supports a mustache. Now he was wearing during the time of the crash a light gray shirt, black pants, slippers, and he had a rosary necklace with a cross pendant. Unfortunately, this is all we have to go by, but we want to move forward with the case. We want to identify the victim involved in this crash or this fatal crash. So if anybody in the community is missing a loved one, if anybody understands the importance of moving forward with this case, can help identify, we don't know his ethnicity, so any nonprofit organization or NGOs that are out there that may service the community, particularly our homeless population, that may help. And if this rings a bell or is able to jot memories that I service this individual or he does seem familiar, please call our dispatchers at 472-8911 or 475-861-537.
Wow.
So
what about that's sad to hear. What about the driver?
Yeah, it's still ongoing. Like any case, we that handles by the Highway Patrol Division, we want to. It's very lengthy and it's very detailed. So the science and everything is put into play. There's instances where we can once we get the closure, we get the final understanding, the full picture or the full totality of what had happened to the crash, and then we can determine a violator and of course the causation of the crash and move forward. Should a citation, arrest, or just simple closure of the case be forwarded to the AGs for their disposition. But again, getting a full closure, it really requires a lot of tedious science that's put into this. Being a former traffic investigator, it takes a lot of time. It's not that we're dragging our feet, it's just putting the reconstruction, measuring and sizing the community sees it when we close the road, because we have to actually map out the scene and everything. Yeah. We have to do day shoots, we have to do all these, and it affects the community. So these are time spent into how we put into the numbers, and of course getting the scientific evidence and transferring that. So this takes time, and once we get the full reconstruction of the crash, we get a full understanding of speed factor, impairment, or just inattentive driving or inattentive mannerism, whether it be the pedestrian or the operator. And this is where we lay for the causation and of course find the violator.
Right. I was on the scene that morning, Sergeant. I mean, given the time, the evening, God, I just got to wonder if the driver was impaired in any way. And then also
Yeah,
just
and these are things in which we consider. I mean, when we do just standard practice as a traffic investigator, anybody that's involved in a crash, we're trained. We're trained instructors in DUI or DWI. So these are the first things that we check: the cell phones. Things that may be a distraction. So these are things that are noted in the driver interview or the operator's log and everything that we have to put into the report. So these things are taken into consideration. But there's a lot of science into it. But again, we're asking the community to please give us a call. If the description that's given rings a bell, please. We need the assistance, and we need to bring closure in identifying this individual.
thank you, Sarge. Bree, you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it, Sarge.
Right on, guys. Stay
Anything
safe.
else?
It's the holiday. Traffic is picking up. A lot of people are out there. I stood in line for 2 hours to get my tree, and so people are going to be going to Home Depot and all the retail stores. But just stay safe. Be cognizant out there. Just obey the laws of the road, and let's bring into the Christmas that we so desperately need, and in light of what's happening with COVID, and just stay safe out there.
2 hours. 2 hours, Sarge? Is it a real tree or fake?
It's a real tree.
Wow.
It was exciting. It was like standing in line in Disneyland, and I was telling my wife, I was like, we should have fast passed this. I'm pretty sure there's a fast pass line somewhere.
I think that's longer than the wait to get COVID testing.
I don't know, but it was exciting. It was really, as we inch forward, it was like we're almost not yet there. But
Almost not.
almost not yet, honey.
Sarge, though, does it got smell?
It has to smell. It's
Okay.
so beautiful. It's yeah. We bought 2 trees, so it was fun.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dang.
check it out, Home Depot. I don't mean to put the advertisement out there, but that's just people out there. We were one of them too. That
They advertise with us. It's cool. Say it again. Say it again. Say Home Depot.
Yeah, the Home Depot.
No, the Home Depot. The T is silent like in Saturday.
All right, guys, stay safe. God bless.
Thank you, Sarge. Right on. Sergeant Paul Tapao. He who has 2 Christmas trees. So if you show up and they're out of trees, you know who to blame. Thinking about getting a tree, but I just remember I told you that